Hello and welcome back to my channel and to my Claude Chabrol retrospective, and today we're looking at a little gem of a film. It's the first of a series of films that Chabrol made with his wife Stéphane Audran, and they're called the Hélène cycle, simply because they all feature Stéphane Audran as a woman called Hélène. That's it. But they are often, quite rightly in my opinion, regarded as the best films in Chabrol's career. They start with this film, La Femme Infidèle, a very simple film, but I'm going to try and argue during the course of this video that it is one of the great love stories in cinema history. Now that might seem an odd thing to say when you hear the plot of the film. Basically what happens is the film opens and it's all shot in this beautiful, gorgeous sort of fairy tale light by Jean Rabier, Chabrol's usual cinematographer. And it's an idyllic bourgeois life. This couple living in this beautiful house out in the country on the outskirts of Paris with their son, and they have a fantastic life. The husband starts to suspect that his wife is having an affair. So he gets a detective to tail her, and she is having an affair. Then, in a rather dubious moment of bravado, the husband decides to go and see the lover and play it cool. But then when he's talking to the lover, he suddenly gets really angry and he kills him. Then comes this extraordinary, almost 10-minute sequence of him cleaning up after the murder and getting rid of the body. Then the police start to move in and suspect him, and eventually he gets caught for the crime. That's it. Very, very simple plot. And somehow out of that plot, in the twisted world of Claude Chabrol, we get one of the great love stories in cinema. Why? What happens in the film is quite interesting. The film, halfway through, changes the entire alignment of the viewer. For the first half of the movie, we are aligned with the husband, a wonderful performance by Michel Bouquet, a wonderful performance of restrained tension. It's incredible. And he's starting to realise that his wife has a secret life, that she's actually capable of having an affair with another man. And it's about him coming to terms with that and eventually finding out about it. The film breaks with him murdering the lover, an extraordinary sequence. Very few films have shown the actual business of getting rid of a body and tidying up after a murder in the same way that this movie does. But then after that, we are aligned with the wife. So in the first half, the husband has been realising that his wife has a secret self. Now the wife begins to realise, oh my God, he's murdered my lover. And what's interesting about this, that then she starts to realise that there's this secret self of her husband. And that's what the film is about. It's bifurcated. But in both senses, what they're realising is their love for each other. The wife starts to see that actually this isn't just a sort of bourgeois, family where nothing much is going on. Actually, he really deeply loves her. And he's killed for her. And the second half of the film is the realisation of this. And this builds to this beautiful, eerie ending where the police come, right? And in a shot that mirrors the very first shot of the film, moves towards their house through the trees. The final shot moves away from the house, and Stéphane Audran and her child are standing there looking lovingly at the husband and father who is now being taken away by the police. And he looks back through the trees and we move away. It's a beautiful rhyming shot, circularity of the film. And what you sense in the film, rather than murder and infidelity and all this sort of stuff, is actually this enormous bond between husband and wife. In the twisted world of Chabrol, it's a beautiful love story. Like we saw with Les Biches, Chabrol is developing this idea of masks. People, Bouquet and Audran emote very little in this movie. It's all contained, it's all hidden. For example, there's an extraordinary shot when the police come to visit Stéphane Audran and she twigs. She finds something, after the police have been, and she twigs that he's killed her lover. And there's very little movement in Audran's eyes or face. There's no music, there's no emotion. There's this mask, but we fully understand all the unconscious thoughts she's going through. I think the scene that is played where he goes to visit the lover is a brilliant piece of acting from both actors. And, you know, and he's trying to sort of be the sort of, you know, the knowing husband. Oh, yes, we have an open relationship. It's absolutely fine. I know what she gets up to. And they have this sort of gentleman's chat, all masked, all surface levity. And then, brilliantly, he shows them into the bedroom. And Michelle Bouquet's character looks at the bed, the crumpled sheets, knowing that she's lain on that bed, knowing that she's made love on that bed. The great irony and the brilliance of the scene is that just before we have seen Stefan Odran lying on that bed after they've made love, her and her lover, and we know that that's the first time where she starts to doubt her lover. They've had a conversation about his children and how he feels about his children. And we've seen in Stefan Odran's eyes that she's starting to think about her own husband and the way he looks after his son. So the doubts have come into her mind about her relationship, and then that same bed where she's had those doubts is the thing that's going to trigger Michelle Bouquet to kill. That's a brilliant piece of direction. You know, it's very subtle, and it doesn't announce itself to the audience, but there's so much packed in there subconsciously. Again, there's lots of very Chabrolian touches. We're starting to see the director becoming more and more confident. In the middle of Michelle Bouquet trying to get rid of the body, there's a black comedy scene. This kind of weird suspense scene where he drives into someone's truck and they start having an argument about insurance. And then loads of people, including the two comedy actors from Les Biches, are around him. And you think, are they going to find it in the trunk of the car? And it's played like a sort of carry-on comedy. Again, Chabrol is not really interested in suspense and the typical elements of the murder mystery. He plays with them, but what he's really interested in is the feelings underneath. And all the way through, he plays with that thing that we've been talking about where he has deliberately caricatured characters. So that in Michelle Bouquet's office, there's this secretary who is a ludicrous caricature of the leggy, sexy secretary who's available for anyone who wants her, in order to point up, really, the reality of the drama that's happening between Bouquet and his wife. But instead of setting it in a realistic setting, he has these kind of fake caricatures to set against it. It's jarring, but it kind of works, and it gives the distinction of Chabrol's films. Other little details to watch out for. The production design. The same paint, the same decoration is there in the lover's flat as it is in Bouquet and Odran's house. That's a nice little touch. You know, there's a decision there, there's a thought process, linking the two places, linking the two worlds that this woman is in as being the same. It's those little touches that I find so fascinating about Chabrol. Incidentally, this film was actually remade in America by Adrian Lyne of Jacob's Ladder fame. And he made it with Diane Lane, a very underrated actress, I think. It was made in a film called Unfaithful in 2002. Diane Lane actually got an Oscar nomination for it. I haven't seen it, but what I understand from people who have seen it is it concentrates more on her and her infidelity and her relationship, whereas this film, most of the time, is from the husband's point of view. I love this film. It's a very simple film. It never ceases to amaze me how simple it is. Like a little gem of a film. Not very complicated, but it does everything so precisely and so beautifully and so subtly. And I think it's absolutely stunning. I think it's a great work by Claude Chabrol. Thanks very much.